And welcome to Franklin Preschool. Let's get our meeting started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kelly, you want to call roll?
John Hedges.
Here.
Cheryl Armstrong. Here. Heidi Larson. Here. Ashley Overton. Here. Erica Weaver. Here. Jacob Uphoff.
Here.
Dale Ryder.
Here. Welcome to the Mattoon School Board Roadshow. I don't know what chapter this is, but we're at Franklin Preschool today. I hope that all of you were able to get here at least a few minutes early and go around and tour the facility. Like I have seen at all of the buildings, I am stunned by these kids. And they're at such a young, tender age. Their ability to look you in the eye and have a conversation with you and tell them what's going on in your classroom, highly impressive. A round of applause, please, for the Franklin Preschool staff. Let's get started with our agenda, please. Item 2, reception of visitors. 2-1A, early childhood sports. That's who we hand these on to. That would be Mrs. It should be.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Thank you guys so much for coming to Franklin Preschool. We are just really excited that you're here, and we just get really excited when we get to share what our little leaders can do. I appreciate what you said, Dale. I think they were so excited to share with you guys and tell you what they know. And I even heard that someone may have counted to 100 tonight in front of a bunch of people, so that's amazing. We have a special presentation tonight. We have some kids that are going to come up and they're going to do the 7 habits with movements that they have put together. So we're going to see that. And then we actually have parents and a community member that's going to come and talk about the different supports that we have here at Franklin Preschool, and then also for the Birth to 3 program. So I hope you guys like it.
Easy. Right here? Okay. Emmy? Right here? Okay, you guys ready? Ready? Talk things out. Here's our 7 habits. Ready? Habit number 1. Be proactive. Do it again. Be proactive. Habit number 2. Begin do it again. Begin with an end in mind. Everyone can do it with us too. Habit number 3. Put first things first. Do it again. Put first things first. Habit number 4. Think win-win. Do it again. Think win-win. Habit number 5. Listen before you talk. Do
kids have a special surprise for you guys. We have a thank you card and a t-shirt that they're going to give you guys.
That's what I heard. I'm so excited. Mrs. Holt. Mrs. Holt. Mrs. Holt, can we recognize Ayla for counting to 100?
This is Mila right here. Can you wave to everybody? She counted to 100 tonight for the first time.
You and I talked earlier. Thank you very much.
To the substitute. Yes, no, I think tonight's gets appropriate substitute secretary.
Okay, all the parents and community members that are going to speak, I would need you guys to come up front now. Any parents and community members that are here to speak, I want you, if you guys could please come up.
Hello. So I'm here tonight to highlight one of our Birth to Three members. I have Maya Ritchie and her son Austin, if you want to come up. So Mattoon School District truly does provide services for families, diapers to diplomas. We provide services prenatal, birth to three, to little leaders at Lyft and preschool and beyond. So Maya is a Mattoon High School student who joined the birth to three program while she was pregnant with Austin. And Austin is now part of our little leaders at Lyft. And I just want to brag on Maya because as a teen mom, part of Birth to Three, she is just doing amazing with her schoolwork. She is doing amazing as a mom. And she recently made the softball team at the high school. And she's just breaking all those barriers. So she wanted to say a few things tonight.
Birth to Three has probably been my biggest supporter through it all. I started Birth to Three when I was about 35 weeks pregnant, so towards the end, and then I got car seats from them. I got just all the help I could ever have. You can't have that. It's nice to go to school and know that my son's safe at a daycare because some kids these days, some daycares aren't good, and I'm just glad that my son goes to a good one. I'm thankful that I get pictures through an app called Bright Wheel of him. I get every update of him. I get what he eats, and so that's been one of the biggest things. And then I've had so much help, and they have an office at the high school. So if I ever needed a minute to myself, I could just go down there and talk with whoever's in there. And Jen is amazing. She really is one of those teachers. She's just amazing. And her mom, Marletta, at the high school has really helped me too. I've had so much support from Mr. Doolin, Mrs. True, Mrs. Moss, Miss Perry, Munyon, Sweeney. All of them have just helped me a lot. And it's been one of a ride, you know, being a mom with softball in school, but I couldn't be more proud to do it when I got Birth to Three by my side.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Tracy Perry. I'm the school social worker here at Franklin Preschool. I've worked in the Mattoon School District for about 25 years, and this is my third year here at Franklin. One of my primary roles here at Franklin is to facilitate parent and community involvement. One of my favorite things that I do here is I lead the Parent Advisory Lighthouse team. And this team is made up of preschool parents that indicated they wanted to be on the team when they registered their child for school. And then I also invite different community agency members to these meetings as well. One of the most important things about Franklin is that we have monthly family nights, and these are themed fun events that are for the purpose of facilitating parent-child interaction. So it's something that we can guide them through while everybody's having maybe a holiday-themed event. It's a lot of fun, and it's very well attended as well. Also, one of the things that I would like to see grow, but we do at least 4 times a year, is what we call a parent education event. We have these 4 times each year, and we choose different community agency members to come and present on topics that parents have indicated that they're interested in learning about. Since I've started, they have gotten to be better attended, but I would love to see the attendance grow, and I'm always looking for input on how to do that. But that's enough said for me. I now want to introduce one of our parents. Her name is Jenna Gorman, and she is one of the parents that's been involved on our parent advisory team.
Hello. I have little Knoxville. This is his second year. He's going to be going on to kindergarten. So this will be my second year doing the advisory committee. It's just a good way for everybody to stay involved in what's going on, not just at the school, but also be able to voice what they think needs to happen or changes that may happen, whether it's with the school or the way that things are being done or how they want to see things be done better. You're not obligated to come to every single thing. There's only 4 times a year that we really do big things, and you can elect via email or Google Meets to be able to attend. It's the community members as well working with us to make sure that we also get to do things like if we want to take our kids to go do something, we could do that with the school instead of having to do it. We can spend extra time on the weekends with our kids because even during the school, we got to go do these things with them. Any ideas on how the school can improve? Planning graduation, Teacher Appreciation Week was a really big one last year. A lot of people got involved in wanting to help be a part of making the teachers feel special and knowing how much we appreciate them. I work full time, so I don't have a lot of extra time. So it's fun to be able to know exactly what there is to expect and get to be a part of it too. So I can help the school as well as attend it with my child and enjoy all of that while still getting to do everything I need to do. So it's been great.
Hi guys, my name's Josh Morton. I'm here to talk to you about family nights and family days. These are pretty big events around Franklin, and these usually happen about once a month. I think Tracy had mentioned that these are usually a themed event, so a Valentine's Day dance or a trick-or-treat event for the kiddos. And that just helps have a spot for your kid and you to just have fun, let loose. I think it's amazing because I know a lot of times as a past teacher, when kiddos are in school, you think so much that, it's books, we're learning, but I think it's awesome that Franklin, they open the doors and we can come in and have fun and learn things. So I think that's awesome. Community agencies, also help to participate in these events as well, and will often set up a station to provide resources and supports to families. And like I said, we've had movie nights, a Winter Wonderland, the Valentine's Day dance. And like I said, it's just a great time. The parking lot is always packed. You're always parking on the grass out here. Getting out is a treat. So, yeah.
Hello, I'm Heather Sims. I'm also the parent of a 4-year-old here. Another family education is another big part of pre-K as well. The parents are surveyed at the beginning of the school year um, to talk about potential topics in education that they feel would be beneficial. Speakers and organizations are then chosen based on the topics to come in and provide training and education to families. Topics in the past have included healthy nutrition, behavior strategies, stress management, and how to read your child at home. One of the great things that has happened out of this program is that families are provided with dinner, and then daycare is also provided so that they can have an uninterrupted evening of learning about what they can feed their kids to help. I know it's benefited me knowing what helps my child. I have taken some foods away because it does make a big difference in their behavior at home. So it is a very educational thing to come, and I really do recommend coming in.
Hi, everybody. I'm Abby DeBurr. I'm the Education Director at Douglas Hart Nature Center, also known as the Douglas Hart Foundation. We do have 3 properties, Douglas Hart Nature Center, Friendship Garden, and then in Charleston, the Whiteside Garden. So I definitely encourage you guys, shameless plug, to go check it out if you haven't before. But I'm heavily involved with the schools, in particular Franklin. I do serve on the Parent Advisory Committee as a community member. And so something that they do at the school, and I've seen other schools do it too in different capacities, is some service learning. I think it's a great way to build civic responsibility in our children, and starting them young is where we need to do it at, as well as creating advocacy, for things they think are important. They need to be able to use their voice and speak up, and I love seeing them starting at such a young age. So they do fall and spring service learning projects here. In the past, for us in particular, they definitely serve other community members besides Douglas Hart, although you can serve us as much as you want. But they have collected plastic bottle caps, and then in partnership with Easy Recycling, they donated a bench to us. Actually, I know exactly where that bench is out on our property, and I see someone in particular comes to the Nature Center every single day, sometimes twice a day, to use that bench in particular. So it's definitely put to good use, and I love having our community, our schools support us. They also do a spring penny war. This year is the Coles County Animal Shelter, so if you're looking to get rid of some pennies, their donation buckets are in the office, correct? You should go in there, and you should dump your pennies in there. I think you guys take silver change as well, right? Yeah, they'll take it all. Give them your bills. But with that and the penny wars, last year, Christmas of 2022, our pipes had burst at the Nature Center, which led to our bathrooms and our kitchen and our staff office being completely flooded. We just this week just got our countertops put back in our kitchen. So it has been a long journey for us, and graciously last spring, they chose us as the recipient of their penny awards, and I think it was almost $1,000 that they had raised. So these little kids, they are teaching fantastic civic responsibility, right? You are a part of this community, and part of this community is giving back to your community. So I'm just so proud to be involved in this school. As I've got almost a 2-year-old at home, and so this might be her home away from home eventually. And I love being involved and seeing what they're doing, as well as other schools in the district. They've incorporated us for their field trips and outreach. Franklin does that as well. They always come on a field trip, usually in the fall, and then they have us come to them in the spring. I encourage other schools to do the same. They are definitely support us in every capacity that they can, and I'm happy to support them as well.
Hello, my name is Marley Welling, and my 5-year-old daughter goes to school here. She's actually been here. This is her 3rd year, and we've got one getting ready to move in next year. So we have a special place for Franklin in our heart. I'm going to talk a little bit about First Responders Day. So Franklin Preschool has a First Responders Day that they hold every year to help educate the students at Franklin about the first responders, their involvement in the community, and a little bit about what they do.
That picture up there on the left with that handsome firefighter is my husband and my daughter. So, as a firefighter's wife and just a family that is in this sort of line of duty, I am just extra thankful that Franklin provides this type of education so that our students are aware of what all the first responders do in our community. They get opportunities to look inside the vehicles, they get to tour the fire trucks, touch the equipment, learn about the equipment and safety procedures. So it really means a lot to me as a wife and a mom, just knowing that all these kids are learning about what to do in an emergency. They're not afraid of these trucks and people in uniforms, and they just feel really comfortable with the first responders in our community.
My name is Tammy Tippett. Some of you got the opportunity to come to our special education classroom tonight and look around, see some of the activities that we offer the students in there. A lot of people, whenever they think of preschool, they hear in Mattoon, they think of blended classroom. We have some students with that have special education needs and some not. We also offer a full special education classroom here at Franklin. And inside that classroom, we're able to meet the children's individual educational needs in there, along with their occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, and any vision and hearing needs that are needed for them to get the proper education that they deserve. I also come to you tonight as a parent. So last May, whenever Jamie offered me the position here at Franklin, the deciding factor was if I could bring my foster boy with me. So in April of last year, I took in one of my students from Decatur. And so coming here to Franklin was my dream. I wanted to be part of Mattoon School District, but I needed to have the opportunity to bring him too. So I thank you so much for giving us both the opportunity to come here and be part of Mattoon. I also want to introduce you to Richard. As teachers here at preschool and everywhere, we have students that are in foster care or have guardians other than their mom and dad. So he is here to share about his experience.
Yeah, 2 minutes. We had two, 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. Declan was a 7-year-old, and we enrolled him in Williams in Mrs. Denning's second grade class. And at the beginning of the school year, she asked Declan what he wanted to learn. He said, I want to learn big words and big numbers. So, and Mrs. Denning did a wonderful job, treated us very well. Now, our 3-year-old grandson, named Mattoon, an old Welsh name, is intelligent, but developmentally delayed. When he came to live with Susan, my wife, he was like a little wild man. She couldn't do much with him until he started to school. The staff at Franklin gave Mattoon the foundation that enabled him to focus, to sit still, and to listen so he could learn at school and at home. In 5 months, he learned to read, to spell, to count, and he began to talk. His level of frustration went way down. 3 weeks ago, DCFS removed him from our care and placed him with his aunt and young cousins in Springfield, closer to his parents. And now he's learning to sing. And at his new school, he reads to the teacher. Susan will always be grateful for Mattoon's evaluations conducted by Mrs. Tippett, Kayla Quick, Laura Welton, Mrs. Holt, Tori Wilson, and Pat Easton. And for the parent-teacher conference that they scheduled last in the day so we could have an hour of the staff's time instead of just 15 minutes. And we thank Mrs. Craig and Ms. Lohr for caring. Susan especially thanks Tammy Tippett for sharing information about available resources such as respite and for video of Maddox classroom work. My best memory of Mrs. Tippett is from Grandparents' Day, when she sat down on the sidewalk and cradled my grandson in her arms. Franklin Preschool was just what we needed at just the right time.
Thank you guys so much. That's all we have for this evening. Is there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Holt, thank you. Move on to the next item on the agenda, 2.2. That is non-agenda. That is time for the members of the public to address the board. I'll remind everybody per the agenda, members of the public have up to 3 minutes to address the board. I have 2 slips here. I will call them in alphabetical order. The first is Chad Larson.
Well, that's going to be a really tough act to follow. And even I was shaking to get on that one. I'm going to put my cheaters on again. I'm here again to speak about the school report card meeting. I came to January's meeting to discuss the numbers. And the first thing I want to say is every time the data comes up, we deflect and blame. The administration deflects and blame. The school board wants to deflect and blame. I don't feel like the data is being recognized or there is that level of concern that needs to be applied to our data. Let me give you some examples. It's brought up a lot about teachers. Oh, you're blaming the teachers. I'll stand here right now and tell you, nobody is blaming the teachers. No one is blaming the teacher. This is not a teacher issue. Same with students. It is not a student issue. Let's keep in mind the student is the victim. The low test scores, they had nothing to do with it. They had nothing to be a part of. One board member blamed poverty levels on a Facebook post. Again, it has nothing to do with poverty in this community. It has to do with the results of the school and the education. We had chronic truism and absenteeism, the little Johnny story Mr. Ryder spoke about in the November meeting. We had colleges don't require the SAT anyway, in a reference to standardized testing. The SAT is a college requirement, but it is also the standardized test that is used to measure your performance against other schools in this state, in our area, our state, even in our country. But I want to make it perfectly clear who is responsible for this data. Mr. Condren, you are the superintendent of this district, and you are responsible for the data. Let me just share a little bit of what some of this data is. And I shared it all last meeting, and again, I'll offer a sheet to anybody that summarizes the report card. And if I'm wrong on something, I will definitely apologize, and I will make it correct this evening. So in our district, 9.9% of our high school seniors are proficient in math. Proficient. That is last in our top. Let me provide a point of reference. The Chicago Public Schools, a lot of criticism of the Chicago Public Schools, even nationally, right? Chicago Public Schools are 19.1% proficient in math. They are 2 times better, almost 2 times better in math than the Mattoon Community School District. Mr. Condren, in our conference, academically, for the last 2 years, we finished last. Dead last. We finished last while spending the most. We had the highest budget in our conference. We spent $15,000 per student to finish last. And we've been in decline in test scores since 2019, when we were 35% proficient. That was really 3 minutes.
Yeah, I've been waiting
I
for you to
mean,
get your
I mean,
glasses.
come on, at home it was like.
Mr. Larson, your 3 minutes is up. Thank you. Next up, Dave Miller.
Mr. Ryder, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'll finish the rest of this.
Dave Miller.
Hi, everyone. I know some of you, I know one. Coach Sullivan's, I want to tell everybody here, I'm retiring on the 22nd of March from the Grayson School District. I got 2 grandkids in the program. I got a lot of nice bosses up here. A lot of nice people I've known for years and years. And I want to thank everybody for having me work for the district since 2003. I've coached, volunteer coach for 40 years. I'm a national umpire now, so I'm going to go do a few other things. But this is a great school district. That's why I'm up here. We have a couple issues, and I wrote down there for safety, is we drive a bus into Williams School every day at 8 o'clock, 5 after 8. And we have continuous cars letting out our children, walking between the buses, behind the buses, when there's a perfect sign that says no cars 8 to 8:30. It's a simple remedy. I don't want somebody getting hit. Not knowing you guys don't want somebody getting hit. And bus drivers in there should not have their heads on the spindle looking for kids where they should be in. That's the first thing. I don't think that's a serious problem for anybody. The second thing, we drive buses from the Mattoon School District to 2 programs. We drive them to TLC in Humboldt, and we drive them to Bridges in Lorna. I was on the Bridges, or the Lorna bus for 8.5 years with Herman, back at Herman House. Both schools have metal detectors. And they have metal detectors for a reason. Because they don't feel it's safe for the kids to come on there that's on their buses. And my thinking is, and I'm sure a lot of other people think the same way, is if it's not safe for them to get in them schools, why are we letting them on the bus for it? I don't know what to do about it. That's why I'm bringing it to the board's attention. But I don't want something bad to happen to these people in these buses. For the kids, if we have a chance to fix it. I know that the schools there have them on there, they've had them, the metal detectors for years and years. So you might ask them, you see what the problem is, I don't know. But I tell you what, I work for a great school district, a great boss, great people. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda, item 3, the consent agenda contains the following items. Approval of the minutes for both the regular board meeting of February 13th and the executive session of the same date. Under payment of bills, presentation of the bills for approval, the monthly financial reports by fund, and the budget to actual report. 3.3, approval for membership in both the Illinois High School Association and the Illinois Elementary School Association, 3.4, approval of the LIFT Private School Intergovernmental Agreement. Item 3.5, approval of the 2024 summer school for grades K through 12. That includes the Jumpstart Elementary Summer School, the Mattoon Middle School Summer School, and the Mattoon High School Summer School. Item 3.6, the monthly enrollment report, and 3.7, the Freedom of Information report. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Ashley, second by Erica Weaver. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Callie, can you call the roll, please?
Armstrong?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Uphoff?
Yes.
Hedges?
Yes.
Ryder?
Yes. Item 4, reports and recommendations of the business manager. Mr. Gear.
I will go without a microphone. Can anyone let me know? A couple things tonight. First of all, we are finishing up our building trades house, which is again behind the high school in the neighborhood we've built for the last 4 years. Last year we tried something different. After we didn't have a lot of luck with bids, we went out and got a real estate agent and listed it with Kima Century 21. And we are looking to do that again this year. We've driven by the house, the boys and girls, both in the class. And Mr. Hack here making great progress, moving along. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Last year when we did this process, after not receiving any bids in the fall, we did this process and we received multiple offers and sold the house for more than the listing price. Okay. This year's house is at 1120 Meadowbrook Court, and the price that's been recommended by Kirk Swenson is a starting price of $245,000. Again, some state requirements that we went over these last year as well. It has to be listed for a minimum of 14 days, a maximum of 120 days, and the sales commission must be less than 7%. There's Kirk there. He's worked with us, and he's worked with us on several things in the past 2 years. We have a great relationship with him. He has offered to sell this at 4.5% commission. Normally, a typical one is 6%, so he's given us a little bit of a deal to help out the school district and community. The current house that we're building is 1,636 square feet with a 2-car garage. It has 9-foot ceilings. The exterior walls are 2x6, so this is my plug. If anybody in the audience knows someone looking for a brand new house, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. The master bedroom has a walk-in closet, and a nice, or the master bathroom includes a walk-in closet. Engineered hardwoods throughout the kitchen, dining room, living room, and hallways, and carpet in the bedrooms with luxury vinyl tile in the laundry rooms and bathrooms. This is not a great picture. They are right in the stage where nothing looks great, but it will in 2 months. There's going to be stone across the front. They need to finish up the siding. They got a lot done in the fall, and then weather, comes, so they move inside. There's not a lot of great pictures from the inside either because they're doing drywall, and drywall is never pretty. So it's all dusty right now, but like I said, in 2 months, it will be beautiful. So, administration recommends that the board approve Kima Century 21 as the listing agent for the building trades house.
Do I have a motion to approve Kima 21? Century 21 to list the trades house? Motion from John Hedges. Do I have a second? Yes, second. Second from Jake Uphoff. Any discussion?
Last year, if he was the selling agent, he lowered that commission. Is that still on the table for this one?
He said he was going to do the same terms as last year.
Okay.
I'll remind him of that.
Question for you, Ryan. It's like an amazing seller's market right now. And this has nothing to do with Kurt or his agency. How come we're not trying 90 days? Like, why don't we try to sell it? I mean, when I did the math, we're talking about $11,000. It might be worth trying to sell it ourselves. We've sold a couple properties by owner. I'm just wondering how come we're not entertaining that piece? I mean, I'm getting the real estate agent.
Right.
Totally understand.
I think the idea is the last 3 years we've had 1 offer. And then last year we had no offers when we did the bid process. So to go out to a real estate agent, last year he got us multiple offers. So we listed it for 250, sold it for 265. So the increase by having multiple offers actually made up for the commission that we had to pay.
And you may recall too, Heidi, that the last year when we presented this to the board after not receiving offers, we're not allowed to list on the MLS. And so that exposure, I think, is what assisted the board in selling that property. Whereas before, we were just relying upon either our social media or our website to be able to broadcast that out. So we felt like this was probably the best option to be able to sell the house. Ryan has also, the budget that the board approved back in September, it's also included on the revenue side of this year's budget. So I think that it's important for the board to think about how long would the board feel comfortable leaving it on the market. If that goes past June 30th, then that would not hit this year's fiscal budget to then be placed into FY25s. So that's a little bit of that logic.
When will it be ready to list?
I think he acted like middle of April is when he wanted.
I think he's interested in making sure some of the finishes start to come together in order to be able to take some better pictures in order to then post on the MLS.
Yes.
Can I clarify my question?
Yes.
Okay, because Dale questioned me on it too. Basically, if he offered 4.5 last year, but if he personally was the one that sold it, he offered it
If
for
he's the
3.
listing agent and the selling agent.
Yes, then
That,
he,
that was the agreement he made last
yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Thanks.
year.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, Callie, can you call the roll, please?
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Uphoff,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Armstrong. Yes. Ryder.
Yes.
4.2, board action to accept MHS gymnasium renovation general contractor bid. We've talked about this since October, this renovation of our high school gym. So we are doing some of it ourselves, gym floor, bleachers, we went out and did all that ourselves. We wanted to get a general contractor involved in this. These are big items. Painting of walls and ceiling, glass railing on both balconies, door installation, which includes 10 double doors, balcony epoxy, doing the flooring up in the balconies, radio booth updates, stair tread repair and updates. And when we went out to bid, we got one bid of $739,560. Before we get into that a little bit, I do have a few things I'd like to show you. Last board meeting, we talked about the floor. We approved our sponsor of KC Summers. So there is a rendering of what the new gym floor would look like. The KC Summers logo on both sides. And the next thing is really neat, and let me see if I can work. I don't think this clicker will work. So our architect that we worked with is Andrew Ewing from Upchurch, and he's put this video together to kind of show you this is the whole thing. This is the whole gym, the whole project. This is fun. So there you can see on the ends where we said we were going to seat massive down the end. We want to be a opponent shooting free throws in the fourth quarter. It has the gym floor that I just showed you in the video as well. We've talked about on the player side that as a coach, I know that it is very frustrating to have fans walking in front of you while the game's going on, while you're trying to coach. Little kids running back and forth to spill popcorn. So we have shrunk the bleachers behind to make 3 rows. We talked about it in the previous board meeting, having a separation of the 2 bleachers on the bottom so that the PA system is behind the scores table and that there's nobody sitting behind the scores table. You can notice the glass railing in the balconies. That's part of the bid. That's going to look very sharp. And we've talked about the bleachers in the top going wall to wall instead of having those cutouts that they currently are, so you can see that. The bleachers on the bottom floor where Massive currently sits, they didn't have the seats that we're going to have in their capabilities with the video. All those gold seats there will be bucket seats, 4 rows. And again, you can see the glass railing across the whole balcony. So when you're in the balcony, there'll be nothing in your line of sight. You'll be able to see everything. So that is our video. It's a project that we're very proud of. A lot of people put a lot of work into this. So as a team, we recommend the approval for the bid of $739,560 from Moltmann Construction.
Do I have a motion to approve the bid as presented?
Yes.
So Jake Uphoff, motion. Second? Second, Erica Weaver. Discussion? Callie?
Oh, I have
I'm
a
sorry.
question.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Okay, so Ryan, what's the total we budgeted for the renovation?
We're about 1.3 million.
And what's Casey Summers? What do they do?
240,000.
Okay.
30,000 over 8 years.
So I received multiple questions. I just have a wonderment if maybe, Tim, you can say something about this. Like, this is beautiful, and I think I'm an athletic mom. Like, I got a lot of kids. My kids play lots of sports, right? I think we're all excited about it. The questions that have come up are, what about general maintenance, like leaky roofs, buckets in the hallway, mold by lockers, bathrooms that sometimes function, don't function? Like, there's concern about how we're allocating funds and looking at parking lots. Can you help me understand what's the budget timeline? I think reviewing that now would be a good, helpful and transparent.
Sure. So Dustin, our maintenance director, is here. He can speak to a little bit of this. And Ryan, you can jump in as well. From a budgetary perspective, the board will recall that they approved the use of our ESSERS funds. ESSERS are the federal funds that were given to school districts, municipalities for throughout COVID. And so a key piece of that was the renovation either of or remodeling and updating of HVAC for air quality, but also the board approved for the use of that for our gym floor. So back it was supposed to be this summer. Thank you, elementary staff that were very patient. When that was installed in September and October, those floors were also a part of the ESSERS dollars. This floor is being paid with the utilization of the ESSERS dollars as well. So we feel like that's a good use of those dollars to extend those dollars out beyond investing in our facilities for, as you mentioned, not only for sports, but also that gym's probably the most utilized gymnasium in space across the district. So we use it obviously for graduation. We use it for events. We have sporting events in there as well. So I guess that's a key piece in a part of some of this decision. To speak specifically about the leaking roofs, that's been an air handling issue that we've had for multiple years. And I think we continue to battle with that. But Dustin, I don't know if you want to jump in and share anything that we've done to at least mitigate some of that here recently. But I was just in the high school last Friday for Futures Day, and I walked throughout the entire hallway, and I think you were as well, but there wasn't a bucket anywhere. So, obviously it's an issue that we continue to face, but we feel like this is a priority that our students deserve and need. And also when Ryan presented this back in October, I think he shared with you when we redid the gym floor back in 2015, that was the last opportunity that we had for that gym floor. So if you've not walked across that, especially on the west free throw end, you can see where we've had to face nail some additional boards to make sure they stayed in place. And that's kind of the point where I think it's going to be a safety concern if the board were to delay this any further. So.
And I think back to the bigger picture that you talked about. Tim, Dustin and I meet every Monday morning to talk maintenance. And, we've put money into the exterior buildings of Riddle in the high school this year. We've done 3 roofs this year. We did a lift parking lot this year. We've sealed Riddle and Riddle parking lot. We sealed it with blacktop. We did that to the ASC Williams, and we did another school. Was that Williams? So, we meet all the time and we talk about needs and we talk about things that we have to do. So we've done 3 roofs. We're doing the exterior 2 buildings. We have on the docket next month, you've approved to go out to bid for the exterior 2 other buildings that we should bring back to you next month or in May. So I think we have tried to do a balance. We did talk about back in November when we started this gym to get it to be ADA compliant. We had to do the railing and the balcony, and it just once we started to take out a floor and bleachers, then we had to do it weird. So, I think it's money well spent. Me, I'm a coach too, but I'm also an academic. So I understand that, and I have kids in the district. So I do think we try to do a balance of projects, and I think we're going to continue to do that. And, we finish up this project, and we've got a list of 20 more that we're just going to work through over the next 2 to 3 years. And the biggest reason we can do this is a sales tax money. Money coming in every year. We're hoping that sports complex brings in people like they say it will to increase that, and then that money just goes straight into our facilities, and that's the majority of what we're using, other than the ESSERS money that's in the market.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Kelly?
Overton?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Uphoff?
Yes.
Hedges?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Ryder?
Yes.
Thank you. Next one is another project, because this is gonna affect every building in the district other than lift, because it's already done. Board action to accept district door access and security bids, or security system bids. As we talked about last month, this is a much bigger project than we went out to bid in November. It's a much bigger project, it's a much better project, it's a much safer project for the district. We worked with Andrew at Upchurch Group. You know, we had a speaker at the November board meeting, said you need to get an architect involved if you're gonna do this again. Listen, we did, and we learned a lot along the way. Andrew, Dustin, and Amanda worked countless hours on this. This is the top of the line security system, and I think, as Dave mentioned earlier, security is a prime thing in our district. We want our kids to be safe, and this project will allow them to be safer as we move forward. We expanded the scope of the project. Before, it was just swipe cards when we did it in November. Now it's going to be security systems in 9 buildings as well, okay? Security system portion of the bid will be replacing alarm systems in each building except for lift, like I said. Okay, the previous project we talked about in the fall was 7 buildings. This is 9 buildings, and it's 2 systems that fully integrate together. The bid that we received 1 bid again, Dynamic Controls Incorporated. They're out of Peoria, $388,949. They currently have contracts with Lakeland College, Mattoon Sports Complex, Tuscola Schools, and Sullivan Schools, and Champaign Schools. So even though they're located in Peoria, they will be in this area a lot because they have a lot of contracts with local people. Like I mentioned earlier, 9 buildings with 2 systems that fully integrate. They also have said they're going to partnership with a local vendor, being Commercial Electric, to run some of the line electric things for them. And the system will increase security at every building in our district. So as a team, we recommend the approval of the bid for $388,949 from Dynamic Controls Incorporated.
Do I have a motion to approve the bid as presented?
Motion.
Motion from Ashley Overton, second?
Second.
Second from John Hedges. Discussion. Ally?
Weaver?
Yes.
Uphoff?
Yes.
Hedges?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Overton? Yes. Ryder?
Yes.
All right, we had a request from board member for a lift update. So 4.4 is a lift update. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Schaefer for a few minutes. Awesome. Yeah, Fletcher?
Yeah. Well, thank you, board, for asking for an update. I have some stuff that I'd like to go through with you. Advanced organizer for you some discussion items tonight. I want to go through an enrollment and outcomes update. With a snapshot on that, I'd like to go through some recruiting efforts and lift awareness that we've been busy at Lift. We call this Lift Tour 2024 that's been happening since the new year. I'll share a little bit about that. And then, as always, I want to throw in some stories about our students, specifically on this, some authentic learning through internships and workplace experiences that we're really proud of. So to start things off with just a snapshot of our enrollment outcomes, not a whole lot has changed since November when I reported last. We saw an increase overall of 1 additional student that enrolled in the spring. Schedule changes for high schools are a little different than it would be at the college level. So we had 181 for the fall, we have 182 for the spring, and I'll break that down for you here in a minute. So overall, compared to last spring, we're up 67%. Our enrollment overall, and you can see that breakdown there by each program or pathway that we serve on the left-hand side. And down across the bottom, you can see how that trend is growing from last spring, and then also for sending schools increasing enrollment as well. The breakdown in the center shows you the enrollment per school. About 62% of our current enrollment comes from Mattoon High School. The other 38% comes from our rest of our sending school districts. Our current outcomes with our focus on service, with 176 service projects completed so far, 273 different industry certifications or credentials that students have earned this year, and then 123 examples of leadership in action, which is what we set out to do. So we're pretty proud of that. And so again, to break that down, fall of 23, 181, spring of 24, 182. We did see additional students, however, at the semester with students graduating early. Some students may be being credit deficient at their home schools, needed to change out, and for other various reasons, you would see some students that were withdrawing, even though you see growth regionally and both at Mattoon High School and at our regional students. So recruitment efforts, I've listed up here what we've done so far this year. Like I said, Lift Tour 2024 has been in full swing. So not just presentations at our local regional high schools spreading awareness. At most of these events, we will have a facilitator and some students that are sharing the message on that. But you'll see all different sorts of different presentations and ways just to spread awareness of what we're doing, not only here in Mattoon, but all throughout the region. 26 different opportunities in all, so we've been pretty busy. Most of those have been done since January as we have that push for enrollment this semester. In addition to that, we offer tours almost once a week to down to an individual student and a parent who's interested, who's thinking about enrolling, that wants to learn more, all the way up to regional, statewide groups from our state, local governments, TV stations, local chambers of commerce, and special guests, and everywhere in between. So again, our crew is pretty used to a tour, so if anybody would ever want to come through and take a peek at the great things happening, stop in, and we're pretty good at that these days. So again, 27 different opportunities there to spread awareness for Lift. And so I want to go in and talk a little bit behind the numbers, and then I'll take any transition into Mr. Gear, any questions the board might have. But one of our key outcomes is authentic learning. And how do we take learning from the classroom where students are in their learning technical skills, where they're learning and getting their certifications? How do we take that beyond the classroom to where students are actually applying that? And so I'm going to highlight just 3 examples of authentic learning through different internships that our students are a part of, and we have countless others that we can share about as well. So Emmeline Whalen is our first one. So the Upchurch group, they've been a popular topic of conversation with some designs and stuff tonight. But they're also giving back here. In this case, is Emmeline's doing her current internship with the Upchurch group. So she's working on architectural drafting right now from Meridian High School and working side by side with the Upchurch professionals on the AutoCAD and Revit programs. Those are all programs that she's able to work on and access at Lift. So Emmeline says, so far this experience has been eye-opening to see all the different components going into design of commercial buildings compared to the residential buildings I was building at Lift. And the internship is helping shape her future by giving her a glimpse of what, quote, real-world job looks like. And I get to be involved in the day-to-day obstacles of working in an architectural firm and couldn't be more grateful. So thanks to Upchurch Group for that. Next is Maisie Hughes, an MHS senior. Last semester, she did her internship at Sarah Bush and was jumping around in a bunch of different places within kind of the marketing realm. It was very clear in her capstone presentation that she knew exactly what she didn't want to do now. And so had some really good learning in that sense, and now has landed with the Lakeland College Marketing Public Relations team, and she's working on informational brochures, upgrading green cards for Lakeland's technology department, working with Adobe InDesign and some other software programs for photography and social media marketing. So she loves it, and she says, in my opinion, hands-on learning is the best way to learn. I'm learning new skills and retaining information far better than I do in typical school setting. The knowledge I'm gaining is so incredibly beneficial for college and also in my career. Without this opportunity I've had at Lift, I would not likely know what to do with my future. I would highly recommend Lift to any student who's unsure what they are wanting to do after high school, as you are encouraged to branch out and create new paths for yourself. Thank you, Maisie. Finally, we'll highlight Ian Gardner. He's a CHS senior from Charleston High School. Ian is currently working with an internship with Hydrogear's robotic engineering department. So he's speaking a different languages. He's coding robots for Hydrogear, working within a RoboGuide software at Lift to create and recreate virtual robotic cells. He builds out these functions, sends them to the engineers at Hydrogear, and then they look them over and actually put them into production. So he says, my internship at Hydro here has given me experience to know and to understand how my learning in the robotics lab at Lyft has applied to real life scenarios in industry. I like more hands-on learning and getting to physically work with robots. The style of learning at Lyft has helped me a lot. So those are just 3 examples of countless of examples of authentic learning that's happening at Lyft. I know at Mattoon High School as well, the list of internship and job opportunities for students that actually go and put into practice what they're learning in a real and authentic way is happening more and more. So we're really proud to share a few of the names behind the numbers. So at this time, I'll take any questions from the board before transitioning to Mr. Gear.
Questions for Mr. Schaefer?
Are there more slides?
Yes, there are. We haven't got to.
Oh, you haven't got there. Okay, I'll wait.
The budget breakdown.
Yeah, sorry. Well, can you answer this, McLean? I wasn't sure. So first of all, thank you for the presentation and the great things that the students are doing. And truthfully, every one of us cannot thrive without the trades, right? Every one of us who owns a home, every one of us who functions like this is absolutely essential for survival. With the students, so there's 182, do they take one class or are they taking 2 or is it just one class per student?
Most of our students finish a course in a semester. However, they can test out earlier than that if they're advancing the coursework, coming with some advanced skills, but most of our students take a semester to complete the coursework.
And so when I look at the different breakdown on the percentage of who's in communication, childcare, what's the average class size? Like, is there 3 sections a day? Is there 2 sections a day?
Right, there's 3 sections a day. Our morning section from 8 to 10 is our most full section with 77 students, I believe, in the morning section. So our mid-session is a little less full with about 60 plus, and then our afternoon session is our lightest with a little over, just right around 50 students in that last section. So, and I'm ballparking those numbers. I don't know exactly off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
All right, back to Lynn. So we have 3 revenue sources for our Lyft currently. One is tuition that we're receiving from students coming from other districts. And this year so far, we've received $83,800. This was as of March 6th. Again, constantly money coming in and going out. So that's probably changed since the 6th. We've received $80,000 in donations that the board accepted in the fall. And then the daycare revenue, which is our little leaders, $94,644, that's to pay for the daycare. So those are the revenue sources that we've had this year. And then our expenses, I broke it down, basically, kind of the way we break down our budget: salaries, benefits, purchase service, supplies, materials, and capital outlay. And those are our breakdowns. That's what was budgeted, what we spent thus far. So we've spent 70% of our budget so far this semester or this year. And that is it. That's all I have. Questions?
Further
We're
questions?
not asking for any approval or anything. This is just question and answer, just information.
Understood. Further questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason I asked you to present is I am a huge fan of Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins says, whatever you don't manage, you can't measure. And for me, like understanding the lift, and there's so many numbers, so many different parts, like it's important for me to revisit it. So if we look at purchase service, like what is the 97,000 count for? What is?
Purchase service is,
Or just a general?
Yeah, so it's basically when we get a certificate, when a kid wants a certificate and we have to, pay for them to test to get a certificate, that would be a purchase service. What's the program you use to track things? The track, what they're doing for the Aubrey is what we use to track their outcomes and what they're doing in the community. So that would be a purchase service. Just things that we buy that are not actual things that come in the mail. Services that we buy from other people. I guess would be.
And what about advertisement? How much, because we talked about this in the fall.
Purchase service, that would fall under that. So like I was watching the state basketball tournament the other day and there was an advertisement for a lift on there. So that would come out of purchase service because we're buying a service from WCIA or whoever it was I was watching it on to put that on there. Same thing with the radio. Those would be purchase services as well. Whereas if we buy a flyer, have flyers made, the actual buying the flyers would be a supply, but maybe if we have to pay somebody to make them, that would be purchase service as well.
And do you have a rough ballpark? Like, what do we spend in advertisement? I know I thought like last fall it was 20,000 or an annual.
I don't know if McLean knows off the top of his head, but we can get that information.
Again, I don't know off the top of my head, so I can look that up like tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. So when I do the math, so you look at, we have 1.2, we brought in say 258 and some change. That leaves us with $976,000, right? To cover the lift. So then when I take 182 students, 363 students, I divide it by 1.2 million, it basically costs us $3,401 to educate a lift student. If we're talking round numbers, I realize that may vary, but if we spend $3,400 per student per class through the year, but we charge them $1,000 in tuition, how are we coming up with that other money? Because it's a business model. And so I'm trying to like understand like, and we get donations and we get some other things, but what's our plan for tuition? Are we gonna raise that rate? Are we?
So it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
If you raise it, you get less students.
Yeah.
If you don't raise it, you get more students. So, cut your nose off, spite your face. So, if you raise it too high, then we may not get as many students as we're getting. So, we're working through this. To answer your big picture question, the district is funding the rest of it currently. But I think I answered the question.
You did. So here's one of the things that I wrestle with, that as enrollment goes down in the district, we're looking at teachers, right? We're looking at how many teachers we have, and then we're looking at the lift, and I'm trying to put it all together to say, like, how are we using our taxpayer money? How are we being fiscally smart? How are we making those decisions? And educating all of our students is important, and how do we make that decision? So.
I think that's a big question.
I know.
That's a big question.
I know.
That as a board and as a team that we need, we need to sit down and talk about and come up with plans as we move forward. We talked about when I wasn't in this position when we talked about it, but I've heard the stories that when we did this, they said 3 to 5 years to get it full. And I think everybody kind of bought into that idea that it's going to take 3 to 5 years. And everybody I've talked to at I've gone on a couple of trips to some things like Lyft, and they said 3 to 5 years. It's not growing as quickly as I'm sure we all want it to. We want the program to be successful, but it's something that we need to work through. And I think, like you said, these are some tough questions that we need to make some decisions on, and we need to talk about probably as a board and as a team.
And I asked for it tonight because this is the conversation we need to have, right? I mean, as a board, like we got the update in November, but I haven't heard anything else. So we need to keep talking about it and figuring out what is our plan. And the question I included in the email when I asked for this to be on the board is, how is the Lakeland College Tech Center going to impact us? It opens in August. Are we anticipating that, and what are our thoughts about that?
I'm gonna have to be honest, I don't know much about that, so I can't answer that question for you, but I don't know if anybody can or otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I think, back to, let's walk back 2 years when we had advisory groups put together with stakeholders from various perspectives, right? Lakeland was one of the higher ed. Eastern was another that sat at the table to talk about what was evolving in order for us to be able to make sure that we were providing those opportunities for kids, and that transition or bridge into potentially a 2 or 4 year degree. So, to speak specifically in regards to what the tech center would do, I think just like with anything, if there were another school district that was offering a program that Mattoon wasn't offering, and they reached out and said, hey, we have a student from your district that might be interested in that. Can we consider them attending this program? I think we would look at that and try and figure out a way to make that happen for that student. But I also think that there's some conversation that would have to occur, because we've not necessarily been at the table in any of those discussions, or at least not, from my knowledge, have we been privy to any of that information as to what that looks like from the Lakeland Technology Center. But I think if we're approached, then we would share that with the board if we have an opportunity to send students to that may benefit them that we don't serve currently.
I guess let me rephrase that, Tim. I didn't say that well. As a business owner myself, I want to anticipate things that might derail us, right? The 3 to 5 year plan. Like, what are we doing to think about? They're going to be competition in a sense, right? I mean, it's just another opportunity for trades, for local school district kids to attend, not necessarily our students, but I think thinking about how are we going to anticipate that? What are some things that can insulate what we're doing, how we're doing it to prepare? Because as they open, and we're going to offer a lot, and it's a large business. And so that is just wonderment, like, what are we doing to consider that and anticipate that?
Sure, and I think, as that progresses, hopefully we'll learn more and we can determine how we may need to adjust what that looks like in order to continue to see the growth that we've seen at Lyft.
I appreciate the presentation from both of you and the update. It's helpful for me to understand and to continue to learn about it. So thank you.
Just to follow up real quick, I guess I'm interested in both yours, Mr. Schaefer's, and your Mr. Gear's view. I mean, your goal isn't to figure out, isn't to raise tuition to cover a cost, right? I mean, it's to maximize the number of students who get to experience the educational opportunities at Lyft, right? I mean, is that incorrect?
I think it's twofold. One, it would be, we want to bolster the region. We believe that career tech ed is a path forward that's going to just make everybody better, including ourselves. But we also want to grow, so that way, like Dr. Larson was saying, there is a point where it's, it's a break even. Like that's always been a goal since the conception of the program. So I think it's a both and. And as we see growth and we find new avenues for funding beyond just tuition dollars, all of those avenues are ways of clearing the path for regional schools. We also have to consider we're 2 years old, and so giving other boards of education and other communities time to figure out how they can work in tuition coverage and what they want to do to support their students to have access to programming that otherwise they wouldn't have. These are all parts of a dynamic conversation that's evolving in all of our different communities that we serve, and it's really it's neat to see how this is unfolding, and it's unfolding in a positive direction. So.
And I appreciate it. The reason I raise that is because I speak for myself only on this board. I'm interested in growth. I'm interested in getting more kids in. And if that means we give up a few tuition dollars in order to get that done, then my view would be that's what we need to get done. No institution of public learning operates at a profit. No portion of an institution of public learning operates at a profit. I would suggest the profit is in the education of the kids, proof of which is the testimonials that you did such a nice job of presenting. So thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. When you were just talking just now, I was thinking, are there grants available? I mean, there are grants for a lot of things. I don't know if there's anything out there that would be for this type of program.
We're constantly looking at, we actually discussed one in our team meeting this morning, that could be a possibility that we're going to look into. So yeah, we're always looking for any way we can bring in money.
And I think, Dale, the point that I have is not that we make up the gap for, $2,400, but this was a business model. This was, the idea that we're educating other students is for a tuition. And so I think when you look at the pool of money as taxpayer dollars, it is our job at this table to make sure that the monies are provided for all of our students, and not all of our students use Lyft. We're talking about 182 students, and we have 127 students at Mattoon this semester. And so we do have a responsibility to be fiscally wise with the money and make sure that we are looking at these numbers. This is our job, how we use money and how we educate kids.
I think that's a truism that's very hard to disagree with. My point was, it is a business model within an institution of public learning. Go ahead.
I guess to offer maybe some similarity in context, I'm probably going to falter on the year, but I think it was 2014 or 2015 when Jamie, I'm going to look to you, where's Jamie Holtat, when we made the move over to Franklin. So at that time, there were state funds available through a grant for us to expand preschool learning, and the board agreed to move into that process. And since that time, we've only seen further expansion. So to get to your point, Dr. Larson, about there are students that the board oversees the governance of, in order to operate Franklin. There are also a large majority of students that don't access, that don't have the ability to access based upon how the board at the time, as well as the grant that we apply for, is set up. So only a certain number of students can receive that are at risk, that are deemed at risk. So as we sit here in this building, I think it's important to note that the board invested in that opportunity back in 2014, 2015, and has assumed the organizational, operational costs of that moving forward, because that grant, while it funded a portion of that, it doesn't continue to fund all of what it takes to operate Franklin Preschool. So I guess I'm just offering some context as to what that looks like in the sense of how the board has previously done something similar.
And I think my premise is to say there's potentially the Lakeland Tech Building, we have lower enrollment or a decline in enrollment, that smart business people start thinking about those and have a plan. And as a board member, I want to know what our plan is. I want to know, how are we anticipating that so that we can continue to educate, Dale, as many students and to provide the opportunity, because it's amazing. And these students love it there and they're doing great things. But we still have to be wise with how we utilize our resources.
When you say Lakeland, I don't know much about the program down there, but for what I do know, it's in an infancy stage. But when I think Lakeland, I think junior college. When I think Lift, I think junior, senior.
Yeah.
In my opinion, all Lift is doing is giving those kids that attend those programs, the robotics programs, the computer programs, just a leg up if they decide to continue and further their education. I don't think anybody would deny and say that it wasn't a risk to come up with this idea, but I think it's a risk that's paying dividends as well. And I personally want to see it forward. In 5 years, 3 to 5 years, we're a year away from that. And, I'm a big cheerleader of it. I want to see it growing. I don't think anybody up here sitting at this table doesn't want to see it grow, but I do think that we are moving in the right direction. I think the numbers speak personally.
Well, and the building I'm referring to, John, the technical center is for high school kids. I mean, the entire, it is next to Delta Dental. It is a giant building and it is a trade center for local high school students. And it's, it's about 30 minutes from here. So I'm not saying I don't want Lyft to be successful, but in order to help it be successful, we have to dive in and understand numbers. And I like being continually educated on this.
And I don't know the geography here, and just crunching the numbers, I'd say Cumberland has 3 students. They're probably the closest to that center. And the rest of them are kind of on our side or north. So is Effingham in a different ROE than us, or are they?
They are. They're in a different ROE, but I don't think that prohibits us from working together. If there's things that are offered down in Effingham or vice versa, there are things that are offered in Mattoon. I think that's been this board's perspective as well as this administration's perspective throughout this process. So,
any other discussion? You have one for the.
I have one more. I'm gonna solve our problem right here. So, Rural King has agreed to donate $25,000 to Lyft, and they're gonna do it they want to do it in a unique way. 2 forms. Items to include in a raffle and monetary donation. So students will sell $50 raffle tickets for donated items, and the drawing will take place this spring. The donation would be used to help fund Lyft scholarships. Hopefully get more people there and offset the cost. So the raffle items that they are going to donate is this lawnmower, retail value of almost $6,900. This golf cart, everyone here needs, is almost right under $10,000. And a grill, all right, $600. So we will have a raffle for those 3 items. So if you add up the total of those 3, subtract from 25,000, that gives us 75,3401. And you make that monetary donation to give us a total of 25,000. So the idea from Mr. Shaver and his crew is to sell raffle tickets. He's got high expectations for how many they're going to sell. So I think we need to sell 350 raffle tickets to break even with the 25,000, any more than we sell the 350. Then we'll make more than 25,000 out of this profit. So everybody in here would sell a couple hundred, would be good to go. All right? So the administrative team recommends the approval of this donation from Room Kington Live.
Approval for the donation as presented. Mr. Hedges, second. Ashley Overton. Discussion? I'm told the raffle tickets will be sale at the door as you leave.
Paul,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes. Item 5, reports and recommendations from the world famous Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Dr. Skoski.
Okay, thank you. The board has before them the March personnel report. As we start out, certified resignation from Ross for the wonderful job for us, William Elementary School guidance counselor. He resigned effective the end of the 23-24 school year. We have some certified appointments. Jonah Moore recommending to hire a special education teacher at Mattoon Middle School effective for the 24-25 school year. Justin Strong, a special education teacher in the district, beginning the 24-25 school year. Mackenzie DeVee, Mattoon High School graduate, recommending substitute teacher effective immediately. Shelby Dyer, we're recommending substitute teacher effective immediately. Kinley Scott, Mattoon High School graduate, recommending a substitute teacher effective immediately. Classified resignations, Tina Darlings, resigned as Transportation Service Center as a bus aide effective February 23rd, 2024. Sorry about the break here. Andrew Hensley is resigning as Mattoon Middle School Athletics Secretary effective March 15th of 2024. He's done a phenomenal job for us as well. Wish him well. Classified resignations continue. Deborah Jenkins resigning as Riddle Elementary School Supervisor effective February 29th. Lori Wester has been a phenomenal nurse for us at Riddle Elementary School. She's got an opportunity to grow professionally in a different career and a degree, advanced degree she's been working on. She's done a wonderful job for nurse for us. She's resigning effective the end of the 23-24 school year. Classified appointments. Riley Best recommended as Lyft daycare paraprofessional effective beginning the 24-25 school year. Bobby Bradford, we're recommending as Riddle Elementary School 1-on-1 para effective immediately. Cynthia Sawyer recommended as Transportation Service Center bus aide effective immediately. Dalton Turner recommending as Mattoon Middle School head custodian effective February 28th. Riley Best recommending as Little Leaders Daycare substitute effective immediately. Going down, continuing classified appointments. Lillian Gear, Mattoon High School graduate, recommended substitute teacher, a secretary rather, effective immediately. That'd be something if she was the business office. You don't want her hand. Jack Green, retired longtime head custodian of the district, come back to substitute for us, effective immediately. Andrew Hensley, recommending substitute custodian, effective immediately. Deborah Jenkins, recommending substitute supervisor. Wyona Swinford, substitute bus aide. Benjamin Baker, and all the way down the next couple folks here, Helena De Leva, Jennifer Helton, Randy Stump, and Jordan Wheeler, all recommended as volunteer. Extracurricular resignations. Haley Miller resigns Mattoon High School junior varsity dance coach effective February 14th. Morgan Boyle resigning as Mattoon Middle School assistant cheer coach effective February 15th. There's no extracurricular assignments in that document. Finishing up, we have an addendum. Caitlin Sheff, she's resigning as Riddle Elementary School 5th grade teacher effective May 22nd, 2024, at the end of the school year. She's done a great job for us. Certified appointments, Jonah Moore, substitute teacher. We just hired for a teacher next year. He's going to sub for the remainder of the year, effective immediately in the district. Classified resignations, Renee Wooden, resigning as Mattoon Middle School's paraprofessional. Sarah Whitcutt Garrett, resigning William Elementary School paraprofessional. Then we have a classified termination, Samantha McCormick, Williams Elementary School supervisor. Classified appointment, Ray Guana, substitute custodian, effective immediately. Zachary Helton, volunteer, and Namsang Bang, volunteer, effective immediately. Lastly, extracurricular resignations, Serena Whedon is resigning as Mattoon Middle School 6th grade girls track coach, effective immediately. We have no extracurricular assignments.
Are there any questions? Questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report as presented, including the addendum?
Motion.
Motion from Ashley Overton, second Erica Weaver. Is there discussion? Kelly?
Hedges,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Uphoff,
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes. Re- Nothing in the next.
Thank you.
Good. So 7.1, reports and recommendations of other district personnel. Dr. Hill.
Hello, thank you. Tonight I have a few curricular recommendations from the Curriculum Coordinating Committee. No action this evening, but just an advanced organizer, as Mr. Faber and Dr. Stover like to say. This is what we'll be presenting tonight. We have some updates for Mattoon High School, specifically some novel additions and an additional humanities course offering. And then LIFT, we have some course additions and revisions. And then we also will be presenting an on-track partnership with our friends at EZ. Again, no actions will be requested. So to jump right into Mattoon High School, we're going to start by recommending the addition of 2 novels. One is called Long Way Down, the other is Anthem. Board members, if you click on those titles, as I know some of you had a chance to do in advance, you'll see our rationale sheets. In fact, I'll click on one just so that I can demonstrate, make sure everything kind of works. Our process for adding novels is that we ask our teachers to do a rationale sheet that walks through basically what is the book, why do we want to add it, what's the summary, what's the connection to the approved curriculum, what standards does it address, if there are any notes on the text, specific things that audiences should be aware of when starting to read, how students will be assessed, and there's a link to Common Sense Media that gives additional information. We also request that there are 3 readers for each text in addition to the teacher. For these 2 texts, special thanks for Long Way Down to Gail Beath, Liz Schumacher, and Amy St. John who read. And then for Anthem, thanks to Mr. Duckett, Mr. Sledge, and Gail Beath as well. So I invite board members to look at those titles, and if you have any questions, or if you'd like to review a copy, we can get you one of those to read. So that's the first thing. The Humanities course edition is called Leadership for Humanities. This is, the ISB course code is listed there. So the way that we add curriculum is when teachers request an additional course, we look for an alignment within the Illinois State Board of Education approved course code. And we look to see if there's anything that would allow our students to earn additional credit. This is the course code that aligns with the proposal. This proposal would allow students to earn an additional social science elective credit. It's being proposed in a sequence of learning specific to our 10th and 12th graders who are heavily involved in activities and leadership applications within their school. So we're adding this as an opportunity for students to apply leadership concepts that are global leadership concepts in academics, and also if they're on an action team, student council, and there are some requirements aligned with that as well. So those are the things that we're adding at the high school that we're requesting being added at the high school. At LIFT, we have 3 kind of categories of changes that are happening at LIFT. We are asking to add an additional course and revise content in those 4 pathways: HVAC, and then a lot of the info tech, 3 of the info tech pathways. In our electrical, manufacturing, architecture, and engineering pathway, we would like to add dual credit technical math. And then we need to make some adjustments to course codes. So I'm going to walk you through these. You can click and follow along if you'd like to get ahead or go back and look. So for HVAC, I see Mr. Compton is here tonight. Thank you for joining us. The current offering, currently we offer HVAC 1 and HVAC 2 for students. After a year and a half of students working through that content and aligning our courses and the outcomes to our credentialing program, we noticed that students can earn additional credit if we spread that out a little bit further. It will also allow them to have the time and space to earn that industry-approved credential. I really appreciate that Mr. Compton added this in here. It's non-proprietary, right? So if our students earn this credential, they can work really anywhere. It's not like one specific HVAC program. So that's the reason. So specifically, we're asking to realign the sequence of content HVAC 1 and 2 and add an additional course for HVAC 3, so our students can earn all of those credits in that pathway. Anything you want to add? The ISB course code, just for your reference, this is the additional class that will be added to our course catalog upon approval. Information technology, so the other 3 check marks that were on that advanced organizer slide specifically, we offer networking 1 and 2, cybersecurity 1, and computer maintenance 1. Our proposal is to add a 3rd course in these areas of focus to allow students ample time to earn those really rigorous industry credentials. And these are great for our kids to leave with, it just sets them up for such success. So what we're recommending is that we'll add networking 3, which there's the course code for that. We'll add cybersecurity 2, there's the course code for that. And then finally, we'll add computer maintenance 2, and the computer maintenance course code for that. In EMAC, as Mr. Brown and Mr. Jager like to call it, we would also like to add a course. And it's a little bit different reason. So this is not because of the pace or additional credentialing requirements. Rather, we've noticed that our students would have an opportunity to earn dual credit with math class because of the activities that they're already doing in these classes. It aligns to the expectations of this ISB course code. So I think it's important to note that this is for students to apply mathematical concepts in a trade. So it is not, I put this here, I think it's really important, this is not a remedial math course. Rather, it's an application of technical mathematics. And you can see that what ISB says we can apply them to, it aligns perfectly with the things that the students are already doing in this class. So it really just offers another opportunity for our students to earn math credit. It aligns with Lakeland's syllabus for applied mathematics course. So we're adding a course to our catalog and we're offering it full service to credit. The next thing we're going to ask, this is really just cleanup. So nothing substantial or no kinds of substantive changes with these classes. But what you'll notice in the left column, these are the courses we currently offer at LIFT. And we want to offer the same content, but we need a different course code. And the reason for that has to do with funding. So the courses that are in that right column will allow us to gain additional Perkins funding because they're CTE classes. So part of our funding for this type of program comes from a federal grant called Perkins. And we work with EPs, and Laura Sullivan helps administer how those grants and those dollars are allocated. So the more course codes we can offer that are CTE in nature, the additional funds will be available for us to utilize in our budget at LIFT. So you can see what those specific changes are there. Again, from a kid's perspective, they're going to be learning and kind of doing the same sorts of things. The last thing is an on-track presentation, and this is, I hope this works. So really just before we start this, I really want to thank our friends at EASY and Mr. Schaefer and his staff for really digging into this opportunity. We've been exploring ways to serve lots of populations at LIFT, and we like to say that there's a place for everyone there who would like to attend. And so this on-track program relates to students who have a transition plan in their IEP that would make attendance at LIFT an appropriate placement for them through their 22nd birthday as part of their individualized education plan. So I'm going to click on this. I guess I can, if that's big enough. Can you guys see that?
We have created the On-Track program to expand EASY's continuum of transition support.
So does anybody know how to make a Canva big? If not, I'll just explain it. I'm afraid if I hit edit, I'll change the content. I don't want to do that. Okay, so let me just explain. This is EASY's continuum support. So just context for those of you who might not know, EASY is our Eastern Illinois Association of Special Education. They are our co-op. So we work with them. They offer a lot of services in addition to the supports that we offer in district. So you can kind of see here on the left, we have Adult Life Academy where we offer programming with EASY for full day support for daily living. So people with functional skills, partial support for daily living, and then what we're proposing with On Track is instruction needed for career readiness. So the developmental needs of this population isn't as significant for daily living skills. They're ready for a job or for career training. And so what you see in those two arrows there are what we're really trying to provide in this additional continuum step through the on-track program. So what we're offering, what we're hoping to do is host that LIFT programming that will meet this kind of in-between space of our continuum support that we don't currently offer. And it would be for obviously for our students, but also for regionals. So this is for students who would be eligible to attend EASY or who are part of that co-op. So the basic requirements for being part of On Track are listed here. So essentially, we need to make sure that they're independent and basic living skills. So students need to be able to do the things that are listed there. They've got to be able to feed themselves, toilet, they can use and access public transportation, and that's part of the life skill, that's part of their transition plan that they learn. They have to have enough credits to graduate. So basically they need to finish their high school requirements and be graduation eligible before they're able to participate in the On Track program. They've got to be able to navigate LIFT independently and then capable of competitive employment. So essentially these are students who their IEP team says like, yes, they could make a meaningful contribution, they can do a job really well, and they just need this as part of their transition plan, some explicit perhaps social leadership skill development, interaction development, and career training. And of course, we have to have an IEP. So at age 14, we begin transition planning for students who have individualized education plans. And so this would be a conversation of everybody in that student's team talking about what are your goals after you leave Mattoon High School and what do you want to do? And then this would be an option of after Mattoon High School. So the reason that this is needed, we noticed that this indicator is one that we report on. It's called Indicator 14. And we had several students in the EASY region who did not attend any type of post-school education. So we're trying to fill that need. We're recognizing that something in our region, we have a lot of people who can make a significant, meaningful contribution, and we just have a space that we haven't been able to fill that. So we feel like this is a win-win for LIFT and for students. So these are the three paths that On Track offer. The one that really applies most to us is that far left. So when we talk about the On Track program, EASY is going to offer that in 3 pathways. So we'll start over on the left with STEP. We do that right now through STEP grant, and we do that at the high school. Lots of high schools in the area do that. And basically our high school students have work experiences right now where they go and apply those work-based skills, and they get paid for that, and they earn points and incentives for meeting and doing the requirements of the job. So that continues, right? That's something that's currently existing. Then the center is the Lakeland part of the On Track. So perhaps the team says that it's best for students to do 1 to 2 courses at Lakeland. They feel like that's fine. They're going to take something also that you can't see because it's really small, but it's called the Next Up course. So that part would be at LIFT, right? So they're going to come to LIFT, they'll learn these social navigation and interaction skills as part of that program, and then they'll be able to go to Lakeland and take 1 or 2 classes. They could also still do STEP if they want. The third thing that we are we're talking about proposing and really excited about is this LIFT pathway. So essentially, for students who need the same kind of interaction, social skills, workplace, those types of skills, they would still do the Next Up class, but then they would attend LIFT courses to earn those credentials, certifications, so that they're work ready. So the team at age 14 and every year thereafter can talk about what do you want to do, and we have a much more robust list of options and ways to help students really find what they want to do. So that would be what would be at LIFT. So we can talk specifically about what's included. These are the types of things that would be taught at LIFT in that Next Up class. So you can see there's a lot of things ranging from being an independent functioning adult who can pay rent and pay your bills and do all the things that we all do, some explicit instruction around that, and then also resume writing. How do you interview? How do you interact in the workplace? Job readiness skills, budgeting's on there. And so really just teaching these students, giving them that extra time to become self-sufficient. And so that's what the class would look like at LIFT. It is a blended curriculum. So it is both delivered online. So there are videos and modules, and then there is a collaborative component where they're applying what they've learned independently, and they're discussing these things and applying them with the cohort group, which is another really great asset, because they have kind of this structured place to practice what they've learned, and then they can either go to Lakeland or they can go to their workplace and apply what they have learned in the next curriculum. So specifically, here are a couple examples of the types of students that we could really see succeeding in this program. Students who are ready to graduate according to credits, but in terms of life, they just really need some additional support. It's not quite ready yet. No job prospects. Maybe they're not really sure how to find an independent job yet. So really it's just another scaffold. So you can see that there's, I think, another example embedded as well. So how do you get in? So the way to get into the program, it's not like they call and say, hey, I'd like to, put my child on this list. Rather, the IEP team at those transition meetings, every member of the IEP team can bring this up as an option. Students can advocate for themselves. At that point, parents can absolutely say, can we talk about this as an option? Counselors can offer this as an option, special educators, so anybody on that student team. And so if they do say that LIFT pathway is the best, there is a collaborative step for the Mattoon facilitators or LIFT facilitators will be part of that conversation. Mattoon High School counselor will be part of that conversation as well. So it just really widens the scope of support of people who are part of the team. And that's how they would get in. Graduation, so a couple interesting notes on this, just the particulars. Students can participate in their graduation, but they don't get their diploma. So they won't graduate until the conditions of that IEP transition plan is all the way done, but they can still participate as part of their cohort group who is, they've been with their full career. We added this in just for ways that we see potential impact. Really the biggest, most important one is giving students an opportunity to do what they want to do, be successful, and make a contribution in their community. And so we feel like there's also a higher likelihood that they'll have gainful employment here with us and be able to continue to serve in our region. Finally, really want to say thanks to Kim Harden at Easy. She kind of took this role on about a year ago. She's been working really, really hard to flesh out all of these details so that we're able to talk about it at Curriculum Coordinating Committee. We're able to come to the board, and we're honored that they see LIFT as a place that this kind of a program could be hosted. And we think it's a good fit for our goals in that building as well. So that's that. Yeah, so no action tonight. I'm going to go to questions, but I just want you guys to know that this is work that the CCC has been doing. Really, we started in November. We didn't talk about it officially until December. We talked about it December, January, and February. And the things that were on there tonight were unanimously recommended by the CCC for approval. Obviously, in separate action items, but know that the people who did all the work to make the presentation to CCC, did a lot, and we're thankful for that. And then the CCC also asked thoughtful questions and was part of those discussions. Next steps will look like this. I would invite you to please call or email if you want, or come in, sit down if you have any questions. We can go through anything together in more detail. In April, we will ask for action on these items, specifically the course, the novel editions, the LIFT updates, and then on track partnership. And then also just a little sneak preview. In May, we'll also be presenting our curricular work for the year on K through 12 science, what we're planning to revise in science curriculum, and also the materials that we're proposing are purchased for implementation. And then in June, we'll take action on that. So, are there any questions?
Yeah, Christy, how will this, is there a grant fund for students to provide their education to 22? For this kind of program?
Great question. Yeah, so students who participate in the EASY collaborative, it's an EASY program. So it's just like TLC is an easy program, and Life Academy is an easy program, so it will all be built through them. We are renting space to Easy, so the cost of students attending is part of their IEP plan. So the local school, or the homeschool will absorb that cost.
So they're bringing their own staff. We're just going to rent them space.
Correct. Well, they're bringing, like Kim will come, she'll teach that next up curriculum. And then if they participate like in dance class, they do in dance class. But the cost of that, like the actual direct instruct, and if they have a one-on-one aid or anything like that, that will all be part of their IEP team from the homeschool. Yeah. Yeah. Good question.
I have a question for either you or Dan, or whoever wants to answer it.
You're not reading it.
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
He's like, she said my name.
Don't worry, okay. About
So I guess it's being, please don't
the
say
HVAC. Oh, it's okay. Okay, never mind.
No, you're fine, go ahead.
It's about HVAC.
I got you. Bring it.
So the 1 through 3, we're moving to HVAC 1 through 3. That's
Yes.
1 semester per level. Is that right?
Well, so the pacing guide is a class a semester. Some students can do that faster, some students it takes a little bit.
Okay, but the maximum amount of time would be 1 semester per course.
Yes, that's the ideal.
Right.
If a student doesn't finish, we will let them finish.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it could take a year and a half.
Sure.
And then the second semester, second year could be that internship, workplace
Yep.
experience.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool, that wasn't too hard, Jay. Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah. Other questions from the board?
Just a clarification, not necessarily a question. The math that you talked about, the applied mathematics, because I appreciate you pointing out that that is not a remedial math class. I think it is worth confirming that that is also an option for people who are not going on to pursue a 4-year degree. So whereas the IAI requires certain courses, that would be an option for someone who's not going on to pursue a 4-year degree and having to have those other math classes. And so it still meets the requirements and they still learn what they need. And so I appreciate, I'm just affirming that I appreciate you making that point, because we talk a lot about remedial classes and that is not a remedial class. It is an option for people who will not be going on to pursue a 4-year degree.
Correct. And even a student who, you know, we often talk right now, we're talking in high school a lot about some of our students who want to take every single math class available to them. There may be students who take every math class and they also want to take that. So it can be an and.
And based on their major, they probably have to still take college algebra. So, you know, like, it may not be the best decision, but I appreciate you pointing out that that's not a remedial class, because it isn't.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Nothing under item 8. Item 9, new business. 9.1, board discipline discussion. Heidi, I believe this is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So my question about discipline came with an email that was sent to the board and basically said an incident happened at the school, student was removed. And so it led me to question, when does the board get notified when a student leaves the Mattoon School District? And so I was referred to the policy, and the policy says, board superintendent communication, you can put this in your email, Tim, says to be notified via email as soon as possible for school emergency, bus accident, staff emergency, and it says student emergency, arrest, injury, or death. And we're not following the policy. When a student is in handcuffs being removed from one of our school buildings, we should be notified. And that's why it's on the agenda.
Can I clarify? It's not a board policy.
That's correct.
It's not a board policy.
It's the board communications. That's what you're referring to.
I asked you what the
shared.
board policy was, and this is what you said.
We don't have board policy on notifying the board. There's,
Okay.
at least to my
Okay.
knowledge, but this was the policy, I think,
Closest
or,
to it.
I'm
Gotcha.
sorry, to be correct. This was the procedure that the board established with the administration
Gotcha.
at that time to make sure that the communication the board wanted to receive was being
Yes.
shared.
So we're not following the communication that we agreed on in 2021 between the board and the superintendent.
So you're referencing an email that you did receive regarding a student that was removed,
Yes.
and help me in.
Okay, so the
sorry, I'm not
student is
clarifying.
removed in handcuffs, taken to the police department, and we were notified. So the question was, When other students are removed from middle school or high school, are we notified? And you and Dave both had different perceptions of that. Well, it kind of depends, well, this and that. And so I want clarity, and to me, this statement says, when a student is arrested, and when I look up the definition of being, it's basically contained or left in handcuffs, to seize and held under the authority of the law. And as a board, when students leave our district, one of our buildings in handcuffs, as a board, it's important for us to know.
Yeah, and the school district board, understand, you don't arrest anybody.
No.
That's law enforcement.
Right.
So you don't have the authority to make that determination or know that. That's law enforcement. I can't, if someone leaves in the process, we'll communicate that they've left the building, there's an issue. We may not know what the outcome of that is. In addition, when we talk, sometimes we don't, if a student leaves a building with law enforcement, maybe a safety plan, domestic battery issue, maybe a DCFS issue, and those things, are working with our social workers, probably working with some state agencies on that, and the safety issue with the student. But most times, if it's a disciplinary issue, we work hard to communicate that, and we try to communicate that as soon as we know the information in an emergency. Sometimes we don't know the immediate. So I think we typically put on there, and that as you get communication from us, we'll keep you informed. Call us if you have any questions. We just try to get updated. Sometimes we'll have students that are transported via an ambulance because of an injury at school. Parent and guardian will meet us can't make it to the school, but they're going to whatever emergency room they're going to. We take, usually administrator or school personnel is with that student, and we'll be with that student until the parent gets there at the hospital where they're being transported to. As far as the, if there's an issue, and talking to Officer Alexander, SRO, and we talked about and had that conversation that, clarity, if he knows, he'll let us know. Hey, 9 times out of 10, they're coming out, there's probably an arrest pending or charging. But again, what happens up at the police station when they're removed and they do their job with that and make a determination on whatever that's going to be, a battery, a city charge, an assault, whatever that may be, they make that determination, and then we'll know about that as well. We handle it through the student discipline portal as we have to in the procedures that we have. But again, I think the purpose of the protocol, and I think it's important to communicate that to the board when we know that, and that's happened, if someone's left or there's been an issue. And I believe we've been good stewards of that, in good faith effort in doing that. And any time I would always tell you, if you know something or ask something, or someone should call us. Maybe we're not aware. We'd like to think we're aware. Maybe, we can get it to you, but I don't think there's any premise there that we're not sharing that information with you or have any intent.
I think it's important to note too, that when an officer is making an arrest, they're not looking at the school policy at that point. They're looking at the state law, that a state law has been broken. And Illinois is very strict in what can and can't be released. I bring it back to more of HIPAA for medical information. A hospital cannot release medical information to me or to you or to whoever without that patient's consent. And Illinois does basically the same thing with juveniles. You can't go search a juvenile on judici. You can't go to you can't send a FOIA to the police department and ask for that information because it's not FOIA. And then there's also the difference between custody and arrest. Most juveniles that come to the police department are getting released to some sort of guardian or parent. They're not going into custody. I don't have enough time to discuss that, how somebody would go to Danville or Madison County, but the list is long. It involves probation officers, it involves the judge, it involves the state's attorney, and it happens lickety split. But so when Casey's making an arrest, when Shane's making an arrest, when I've made an arrest, we're not at that point. I'm not a board member. I'm looking at, did you violate state law from what I'm hearing? So that's, in my opinion, that's why we're not getting that information, because Illinois is so hard on protecting that information.
I just want to clarify, so the accusation that the policy, the procedure is not being followed is based on your knowledge that a person was taken away in handcuffs?
No, my question was, I received the email and said, when a student leaves our building in handcuffs, are we notified as a board? And it was super gray. I mean, there were certain circumstances when it was, when it wasn't. So I emailed a follow-up and I clarified and said, as a board member, can we be notified when somebody leaves in handcuffs? I think that's reasonable. They leave our school building with a police officer.
I thought the discussion was if they're in the back of a police car, I believe was the term that was used. I don't recall.
No, I just mean they're leaving our school building for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. And I don't care if there's an arrest. I don't need all the details.
Because sometimes people are leaving police officers, they're not handcuffed. Actually, that's the majority of the time. That's an issue.
But if we are removing a student from our building, that
We're not removing them.
Well,
It's the police officer.
our RSO, our resource officer.
Not always, not necessarily, because they are off occasionally. There are subs that fill in, but they do leave in other situations, and that officer's making that determination at that point.
But if there's an event where there's a disruption or someone's police car, ambulance, fire truck, whatever, we do, I believe we do follow that, try to follow that, communicate that. I mean, are we not doing that, I guess is the question.
Okay, so just, what I didn't get is that, yes, we are informing the board when a student is removed from a building in handcuffs.
In handcuffs, arrest.
Well, no, I don't think they're arrested. Like, they're arrested.
I mean, that's what the procedure.
That's what the procedure.
When the student, in a student emergency, it's arrest, injury, or death.
Okay,
Those are the three options.
So that's what I said, and then Dave followed up by saying, well, we don't know if they're arrested, because they may or may not be booked, and if two kids get in a fight, the police department makes the decision. So to me, the simplest form is, when Johnny or Susie leave the school building, and they are leaving in handcuffs, that we are notified as a board member. What the outcome is, it doesn't matter, like you're saying, like that is, but they've left the educational institution against their will, based on something that they did to the police department, that we should be notified. Just like when a teacher's hurt, that is, I think, our oversight.
I believe that we are.
Okay, that, it wasn't clear to me. And so then I was looking at the policy, as long as we're all on the same page that we are notified if that happens, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, now I have a question, because, so saying that we're all on the same page means to me that you are saying that something has changed versus we're all agreeing that that's what's happening now.
When I asked, I didn't have clarity. So I'm bringing it up to say, if we're following the policy that if a student leaves a Mattoon school building in handcuffs to the police department, that the board is notified.
So were we not notified of the situation? I guess maybe I'm missing that piece.
I don't know if we're not. We got the email, and so that prompted the question to say, when somebody leaves.
Yeah, and I think the specific email that you're referencing, we did not have knowledge of an arrest had even occurred. That's probably your confusion, is what I'm understanding based upon the way you're stating your question again. So, I think if the board wishes to change the procedures and have it be when they leave in handcuffs versus arrest, that we just need the direction from the board, and then we can communicate accordingly.
Because then when I said arrest, you clearly said you don't know, right? Like when things happen. So the policy really isn't written very well, because you don't know when they're arrested to let us know. But to me, Tim, there's an issue when students leave our building in handcuffs. That's a concern for me that we should know as a board member.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my first question. Is there an instance where we weren't notified?
I have no idea.
Okay, so where did the question originate? I guess I don't understand how the question
So,
came about.
so we got
We
an
don't know.
email that a student was removed, and so then I asked the question, are we notified when students are leaving the building? And there was a lot of gray area for me, so then I followed up and said, what is the policy? And let's put it on and discuss. And as long as we're following the policy, that's all I wanted clarity
So
on.
we are in a pre-K place, right? So explain it to me like I'm 3. If we got the email, why is the question, are we getting emails? I'm still not understanding how we got to that question. You got an email that said, yes, students were removed.
Yes.
So why are we saying that it's not happening?
So I just asked the question, do we get that after every student leaves? in handcuffs when we got the email. And then there was a lot of great perspectives about, well, we sort of do, we can't know if they've been arrested. I just want clarity that to know that we are getting an email when a student leaves, that's it. Like, this isn't.
Yeah, I believe that you are. I mean,
Okay.
again. like-
Yeah, and the only thing I think,
Describe
because I believe I know what you're seeking for clarity, but my mind thinks of dealing with this. There's some times where we don't notify you, DCFS issue, safety issue with the student. You know, those are probably, we're not emailing you that information because, yeah, but disruption, arrest involving law enforcement, yes. It's the health of the student, ambulance, yes, of a, even of a staff member, if there's a health issue there, so. And that, like, again, that's I think the board developed that communication. It's not in board policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do something different with that for clarity. Get the term arrest out of there,
Well, exactly, because it's not.
just semantics then.
Anything else on that? Seeing no further substantive business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Erica Weaver, second by Mrs. Overton. Kelly?
Armstrong. Yes. Larson.
Yes.
Overton. Yes, sorry. Weaver.
Yes.
Uphoff.
Yes.
Hedges. Right.
Yes.
So as soon as those get notified.